Hey, Wings. Focus of the week time. We are talking about decluttering this month. And this week, we are talking about decluttering in regards to the body. So, always a tough topic because it's a very personal conversation and everybody has different feelings about their own body. But I will say, for the most part, I think people struggle a little bit with their own self-image, just the way that they do any other thing. We've got a little bit of negative self-talk that we do. And so I want to take you back in time, tell you a little story about a 20-year-old Coco. And when I was in my 20s, I had a period of time, probably about 3 or 4 years, where I was on a path. It was actually when I first met my husband. And I was on a path where we were working out quite a bit. And we were lifting a lot of weights. And I would actually go out on a limb and say, I would say it now. I wouldn't have said it then, but I will say it now. We're pretty much bodybuilders. When you're at the gym 2 hours a day and you're lifting a lot of weights, I was bench pressing probably 145 pounds. And we were squatting, and I 2 plates on each side and had the whole weight belt thing. And I was teeny. I was so teeny at the time, but I never felt that. I never thought I was. I was always really curvy. And that was such a hard thing for me. I was curvy early. We've talked about this before. I was curvy really early. And so I just never really knew how to grow into those curves. And looking back at it now, I would actually say that I was perfect because I can see it from my vantage point now. And I also have a daughter now, and I also have, and I tell her all the time how amazing and how perfect she is, because you just know how much we beat ourselves up and how much we scrutinize everything. And, coming into it now, I think anybody sitting in their 40s, whether they're male or female, could probably say they looked pretty great in their 20s and that they would take it, right? I think for the most part, things go a little bit this way and we get a little bit, softer and things like that. We don't have as much time. Time is of the essence and things like that. For the most part, there's certainly some people who've maintained and done an amazing job, like my amazing husband. But for some of us, I always call it just a little marshmallow, just a little extra. But so trying to figure out what declutter means for me, really looking at it now, is just trying to get to a spot, continuing to try to get to a spot where you're happy with where you're sitting now. And I just never get to that spot. I can't seem to get to that spot. Whether I ebb and flow up and down on 20 or 30 pounds, I still feel the exact same inside my brain when I'm down as when I was up. And it's really kind of a strange phenomenon. And I'm not sure if I actually am sure that there are other people that feel this way. I've talked to a few of you. But it's one of these things that we just don't give ourselves enough grace. And it's just this one thing that we continue to beat ourselves up about. So as I go into decluttering and as I'm trying to frame this out, one of the things I'm really trying to think about is, what are your intentions as you go forward? Looking at it now and trying to frame it for my 60s, right? If I'm going to go 20 years into the future, probably going to look back at my 40s and go, wow, I looked pretty good in my 40s. So trying to give myself a bit of that now, trying to put that mental brain on now to say, okay, I'll give myself a little bit of that. And then the other piece is just trying to look at it from a health perspective. Probably a little bit older than some of you, maybe a little bit younger than some of you. But as we look at some of this in our body and how we're moving about and going into the future, like a big piece of this is, are we healthy? Is our body healthy? Are we needing to take a pill every day to maintain health? for some of us, we have to. I have a little boy who, has to take pharmaceuticals every day to maintain his health. He's got heart disease and has since he was born. And that's fine. That's wonderful. And that's wonderful that those drugs are there to maintain that. But for me, I shouldn't have to take a pharmaceutical to be healthy right now because of something else I'm doing, right? So maintaining my health and making sure that I'm doing the things I need to do from a nutrition standpoint, from a physical standpoint to maintain my health so that I don't have to take pharmaceuticals as I go into my later years in life. My dad always says, if you have your health, you have your wealth. And I think as you get older, you definitely feel that, the aches and pains. If you get hurt, if I get injured now, if I got injured in my 20s, it would heal pretty quick. Now in my 40s, if I get injured, I'm out of commission for just a little bit. So I think you're definitely seeing that. And I'm just trying to maintain flexibility and keep things active. But also, I'm using this body to go and take my breath of fresh air when I go into, the forest preserve and walk in my, snowshoes or go kayaking, or I want to be able to maintain those things and continue down that pathway as well. So when I declutter, I think that's a bit of what I'm starting to look at and starting to think about, like, what nutrition is going in? What am I thinking about when I'm actually thinking about like entering a room and feeling about my body? And then how am I showing up every day? I can tell you that nobody is as hard on you as you are. When you come into a room, other people are thinking you're a beautiful, beautiful person. They're not thinking about all the internal things that you are. And I'm saying that to myself just as much as I am you. So as we look to declutter, this one's a tough one. This one is so tough because it's so personal and everybody has a different journey. Some people have got this locked and loaded, but I can tell you, even if we think, so even if I look at someone and go, wow, they're, really fit and they've got this, I can tell you, they probably still have some sort of internal struggle when it comes to their body. I was so fit and I still didn't think I was fit. So it's just this thing that we have to give ourselves a little bit more grace and kind of get off this hamster wheel of the diet culture that we're in, and just make sure that we're decluttering it a bit. So that's the focus of this week. I got a lot of work to do on this one for sure. Some of these I've got more work than other ones. This one I still have a lot of work to do. This one I might be still learning this one when I'm in my 80s. I'm not sure. Hopefully someday I'll be able to give myself some grace when it comes to this one. But I hope you guys have a great week and I'll talk with you next week. Bye, Wings.